This is a great one, ladies and gentlemen. This is pitfalls to watch out. And look, I've seen so many people make the same sort of mistakes time and time again. And the biggest one I see them make in relation to purchasing investment property is actually buying an investment property in their neighbourhood. So a suburb such as Balladura, Ellenbrook, etc. may be a fantastic place to bring up your children and has a family environment, but as a criteria for investment property, sometimes it may not tick all the boxes. So invest outside your neighbourhood just for diversity, if nothing else. Then the other situation I see is that people focus on the rent. They focus on cash flow positive, that they're being rammed down their throat that you've got to get cash flow positive. That also comes at a cost. When I purchase property, I'm looking for significant capital growth. Now, look, don't get me wrong, if I can get a cash flow property, that's fantastic. But often than not, if I'm getting a property that's got a higher cash flow, it'll have a lower capital growth. And the real money for a long-term investor is in the capital growth, both by what you're buying in relation to the property now for capital growth in the future, but harnessing that capital growth in building on top of that as we purchase further properties. And look, the other scenario I'd be looking out for is presentation. A well-presented property may indeed be a well-presented property, but go in with your eyes wide open, have a building inspection, and that fresh coat of paint could actually be covering a multitude of sins. So just be aware of that. And I guess the final scenario is short-term rentals. Quite often we see people that are letting out properties fully self-contained with knives, forks and spoon and everything else, getting an unrealistic rent. So just taper it back when you do your facts and figures to make sure that if the property is being rented out in a normal, unfurnished or just a fully furnished situation, what is the real rent and not a higher rent for something that is serviced or self-contained. So bearing that in mind, safe buying out there, ladies and gentlemen.